So welcome everyone to the WES Apprentice Showcase webinar today. I have got the great pleasure to introduce you to Paula McMahon. She is one of our trustees who started life as a Civil Engineering Apprentice and has been a very active member of WES, including with the Tyne and Tees cluster. She is a WES Fellow. She's former chair of the Climate Emergency Group and currently chair of the Members Directors Committee. So I would like to welcome Paula to the stage, as it were, and I will hand straight over to you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Candy. So welcome to the Apprenticeship Showcase. So what am I going to go through? A little bit of who I am. Then I'm going to tell you a little bit about my apprenticeship. I'll tell you a little bit more general what are apprenticeships and why I think you should do an apprenticeship. And then I'm going to give you a little bit of personal experience, and then Candy's going to ask me some questions on your behalf. So who am I? Candy's done a small introduction. I am a former apprentice. I was a civil engineering technician straight from school, and then I became a civil engineer apprentice or trainee. That was the old-fashioned types of apprenticeship, but I am actually currently an apprentice. I'm studying a level 5 coaching professional apprenticeship, and I came about all of that from school. When I was at school, I had work experience. I was always interested in engineering. I did the input course at school, and I was very, very lucky that I got my apprenticeship where I did my work experience at Cleveland County Council. So jumping ahead to sort of now, where's it got me? As Candy's already said, I'm a trustee for WES, a former chair of the Climate Emergency Group, and I currently chair the Membership Development Membership Directors Committee even. But I also am a trustee for the ICE, which is the Institution of Civil Engineers. I'm also a reviewer for the ICE, which means that I know quite a bit about how people get professionally qualified. And as well as being trustee, I'm head of professional conduct and ethics at the ICE. Within work for Sir Robert McAlpine, SRM, I do lots of mentoring for the ICE people wanting to get qualified for the ICE, things like the CIOB, so Chartered Institute of Building, and just generally to help them improve. But at my heart, I'm a civil engineer. I'm a chartered fellow of the Institution of Civil Engineers, but I'm also a chartered manager and a fellow of the Chartered Management Institute from all of the different roles that I've had. And some of the roles are shown in the pictures. I have been the lead engineer on Dubai, being responsible for all of the infrastructure, all of the great big buildings, pot lines, fancy entrance buildings, bridges, roads, or even a bus station. I was data manager on the Thames Barrier 100-year life project. I was lead engineer on Hinkley Point in its early stages, and I was design manager and then construction manager for a very local project near me, SNF, which was one of the smaller of the projects, which is only a mere £168 million. But why am I here? Well, I love apprenticeships, and I am actually a national apprenticeship champion. I won that a couple of years ago. It's on my shelf somewhere up there, the award. And it's funny that when I sometimes look at some of the apprenticeship materials, my face pops up like that one. So what are apprenticeships? Well, I think it's a good route to success, but it is only one of several routes. There's many different ways you can get to the same place where you're going. So there's plenty you can find out if you wanted to look at sort of apprenticeships into engineering or other things for engineering. Tomorrow's Engineers website's a really good place to start. But let me compare the traditional route that you would maybe go to get a degree and a degree apprenticeship. Now, just so you know, there's different levels of apprenticeships. You don't have to be doing a degree to do an apprenticeship. But just to compare the two, if you were, say, wanting the degree was the level of academic qualifications that you wanted. So traditionally, you would have gone and got that degree at your university. You would have then gone into the world of work as a graduate, at which case your employer support would have started, possibly a graduate training programme or something else. Then after you've got a fair amount of experience under your belt, then you'd look at becoming professionally qualified. So with the Institution of Civil Engineers, which is I'm most familiar with, that could be with a degree, an accredited degree, that could be an incorporated engineer status. And that would be after quite a number of years. However, if you're doing it as a degree apprenticeship, you're already in work. So you're getting employer support straight from the off. You'll be doing your academic qualifications at the same time as you're gaining your experience, because you're doing it as a total degree apprenticeship. And then you'll be getting your EPA, your endpoint assessment, and your professional qualifications at the same time, not long after, ideally, that you've completed the academic studies. So basically, why do an apprenticeship? Well, it's absolutely accelerated learning because it's much, much quicker and you get support throughout. So let's have a think at some of the things that you're the support that you get and the responsibilities that you have and other people have, other organisations that have at the part of that tri-party arrangement. So first of all, let's talk about the commitment statement. So most of the organisations I work with get people to sign a commitment statement, but even if it's not called that, you definitely sign an apprenticeship agreement, and within it is all of these other things that you need to do. So you need to check you're eligible, first of all, like you do for any other course, and there's other checks to do, like on maths and English and a few other things. You've got to commit that you're going to plan your work because you want to get to your endpoint assessment. You commit to what responsibilities are for yourself and the others, and at the very beginning, you'll understand that if you don't undertake your commitments, as you've said, that there will be a consequence. You might not get your EPA, you might have some fees to pay. It'll all depend on your particular commitment statement. And all of them I've got three parties to get you to success. So you're the apprentice, and you need to lead that process. That's what I get all of my learners to do. They're the ones that need to shout up if they have help, if they need help. You need to grasp the opportunities. I cannot overstate that this is a massive opportunity for you, but you have to grasp them opportunities. So within it, you'll have to also record, but these knowledge, skills and behaviours, this looking at the whole you, not just doing academic qualifications. Looking at them knowledge, skills and behaviours gives you the chance to actually say to your employer, actually, could I have a little bit more experience in this area? Could I actually try something new? The provider, could be a college, it could be a private provider, it could be a university, and they will lead you through your learning and academic qualifications. Then there's your employer. So they also have to sign the commitment statement, and they'll have committed to allowing you off-the-job training, 20%. That's obviously, like for most people, that's 1 day a week. They will also have committed to providing you the experience that's suitable for you to record your knowledge, skills and behaviours, and they'll also have agreed that they'll provide you with some sort of mentor or person that will attend these tri-party meetings. It usually happens every 12 weeks. And all of that feeds into your endpoint assessment, which ultimately leads to your success. So sort of coming down to some of them key elements. So the KSBs, knowledge, skills and behaviours. Every single apprenticeship has a very long list or a longer list, depending on which standard it is. And they're all very clearly shown on the Skills England website per apprenticeship. And there's lots and lots of them. That off the job, that 20%, all of the rules associated with that and all of the ways that to help you, the ways that you can get it, are all on a UK Gov publication, Apprenticeship Off-the-Job Training. And also, when you sign up to one, your provider should also give you copies of all of the relevant bits. So what's the endpoint assessment? Well, in some cases, the provider, the university or college, will be the endpoint assessor. So they'll actually be linked. So it'll be seamless and won't be another organisation. In some cases, your endpoint assessment might actually be done by an institution. So, for example, the Institution of Civil Engineers can do endpoint assessments for civil engineering. But whatever sector level or whoever your endpoint assessor is, you will be learning while you're earning. You've got off-the-job hours to use to do all of this. You will be accelerating your career, and you will have that recognised endpoint assessment at the end that's linked to these known and understood knowledge, skills and behaviours. So why do an apprenticeship? Well, there's employer benefits and apprentice benefits. So for the employer, if they're offering apprenticeships, a lot of people say that it helps them attract the best talent because it is a route of choice for many. It gives you the employer that structured basis. So it's structured and it's got known outcomes and it's got this training plan laid out. And funding. For those that don't know, one of the massive incentives for an employer to do an apprenticeship is that the fees associated with it can be levy funded. And it's not just if your employer pays the levy funding, there is actually mechanisms that you can utilise other people's levy funding within certain criteria. So it's worthwhile looking into that. If your company doesn't pay a levy, find out what companies they work with that does. So what's the benefit to you, the apprentice? Well, you'll learn. You'll get all of the knowledge, skills and behaviours through that formal qualification and by documenting all of the things against those requirements. You will be earning at the same time. Your off-the-job hours, 20%, should get you a fair way towards where you need to be. Now, I'm not saying that it'll get you everywhere and you won't need to do any work in your own time, because you absolutely will, especially if you want good results. And you'll have that qualification at the end of it. You'll have academic qualification, but it's linked in with your endpoint assessment, which may also include other things. And who can apply? Is it just for somebody age 16? No, it isn't. Anybody of any age can do it. I'm well over 16 and I'm doing an apprenticeship now. It can actually, a lot of people don't realise that it can be used to upskill people. So it can be for new employees or it could be for existing employees. At McAlpines, we've brought on graduates and we've put them straight onto a say, degree apprenticeship programme. But we've also used apprenticeships for people like myself, doing a level 5 coaching professional apprenticeship. And we've also done it for getting many people through, say, HGV apprenticeship to learn how to drive particular vehicles. If you look on the Find Apprenticeship service, you'll see most sectors and most levels are covered, and there's lots of different types of apprenticeships out there. Some are linked with colleges, some are linked with employers, and the full range of apprenticeships are on that other link that I had on the other page. So my personal experience. So I do absolutely love apprenticeships and I do talk about them a lot. But I do believe that it's a great thing that you can accelerate your career. However, the other side to it is doing everything all at the same time is without a shadow of a doubt hard work, especially if you don't plan. Many people don't understand the rules. I can say that as somebody that's on an apprenticeship, working with people on an apprenticeship. I can say that as an employer that helps other people and a mentor that helps other people, and as somebody that does the reviewing at the end. Especially at the end, people go, oh, there were the rules, and then they ask the questions, and then it all becomes a really big deal. Plan it at the beginning, read the rules, know what you're getting yourself into, the same as anything. So there are absolutely some tick boxes, right? For example, I had to, for this, proved a certain level of English and maths, right? Just do them. It's a requirement. You may not understand why it's a requirement, but there's some rules that come from as part of the funding requirements. There's some rules that are part of the actual apprenticeship itself, that it might be to make sure you're at a certain level, so then you're not going to struggle. Just do them. And people do sometimes think that they're not as good as something else. There's lots of things that people say that, well, they're only for this type of work. They are not as good as actually going to a uni. And I was speaking to a young work experience girl that I had in the office yesterday, Millie, and let's have a look at what Millie actually said when we were discussing this. So Millie said, my friend said, uni's better. But Millie said to her friend, but uni's a big commitment and you have to pay for it. Her friend didn't even know what she wanted to do. Yet she was going to get herself into debt for a university course because she wanted a university experience. Millie said to her friend, why don't you let someone else pay for it on an apprenticeship? And why not get the uni experience in doing something that you will actually get a job in? So this is a 17-year-old that was very much on board for apprenticeships, and that's basically the crux of why you would do it. So you can still get a uni experience if that's what you want, but you'll also get paid at the same time, and you'll be working for somebody, so you will get everything all done at the same time, and you'll earn while you're learning. So I am now going to let Candy ask me some questions based upon what other people have asked on these type of things before. So Candy.
Yeah, thank you for that, Paula. That was really interesting. So I do have some questions here. Hopefully we haven't covered them already. Just want to start with, though, from myself here. What initially motivated you to choose an apprenticeship over going down other routes? So right back when you started.
So right back when I started, what, a long time ago, and it was when I was actually at school. So I really wanted to work where I was lucky to get there. I did the work experience at the council, and speaking to the people there, I knew that they were already, they were doing all of this exciting work. They were given responsibility. They were going to colleges and universities alongside people that were doing the traditional route. And they were telling me of their experiences of how easy they found certain modules, the hands-on stuff like surveying and other things. Whereas people that had, say, done A-levels were really, really struggling. So they were actually acting as mentors to their cohort. And basically, I just thought, this is really what I want to do. And it never, not once, did it ever cross my mind that it was any way of a lesser route. In fact, I'm going to, at 16, have a job, get paid, and they're going to train me. That was my plan A. And yeah, I was lucky that it worked out.
So if there's somebody who doesn't quite know what they want to do, because you sound like you clearly knew that you wanted to go down the engineering route.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody who isn't quite sure what they want to do yet?
So just to be clear, most people don't know what they want to do, and that's
I was going to say, I didn't have a clue.
Yeah. And also most adults, if you ask them, when I say adults, I mean somebody that's been around the block a bit, so it's got a bit of experience and has been in the world of work for a while. Most people of their career paths gone like this. Yeah, it's gone, and they've taken a while to figure out what they like, and some people still are doing things that they don't like now, right? And all of that's fine, and that's normal. If you're like me and you do know what you're going to do, look it up. There's plenty of websites. I've given you some links today. Look it up, find out what that path is, and then work towards it. Yeah, and if you change your mind, that's fine. So if you haven't got a clue what you want to do, right, it's fine. Don't panic. That's normal. Right, think about two things. What do you like to do, and what are you good at? Right? If there's something that you like to do it and you're good at, the chances are, if you have a job that all of them elements are included in it, it'll probably suit you, you'll be good at it, and you'll enjoy it, and you'll stick with it. Yeah. It's fine that you can learn things and you can go on to have a successful career in something with learned skills, and that's fine. So push yourself on things that you think, I know a bit about it, but I don't know much. But that's what you should do. I'd concentrate on looking in the type of things that you could do with your skill set and your enthusiasm, and then look for the types of jobs that you could have in that area, and then pare them down. And remember, there's a lot of life that's to do with chance. So apply for more things, and whatever you get is probably what you should get. Just saying.
Which is a great way of looking at it, really, isn't it? So again, looking back, what would you say were the main skills or habits that you developed during your apprenticeship?
Honestly, just general basic skills like getting up on a morning when you don't want to, right? Going and working out on site when it's miserable and it's wet and it's cold. Answering a phone, it was terrifying to start off with. You know, walking into a building and not knowing anybody. My apprenticeship, I was very lucky. We got a bit in every department. Some departments we were on in for 6 weeks or 3 months. Some we were in for a year. And so I got to see lots of different people and lots of different things. So that out your comfort zone just became the norm to me. And that's really served me a really good grounding for the rest of my life, is just to give things a go. yes, things are scary to begin with, right? Everybody's scared. Nobody likes to meet new people. Nobody likes to do something new. Nobody likes to start trying to learn something, right? But if you don't start, you're never going to get there, and you're always going to just be in that place of fear. So the more you do it, the more you overcome that fear and think, meh, it doesn't really matter. Because it doesn't. It really doesn't.
So what tips would you give someone who is preparing for an apprenticeship interview or application process?
So any interview, any application process, right? Be prepared, right? So reread back, what do they want from you? They'll be very clear on exactly what the job is, what type of skills that they're expecting you to have. So be prepared to answer all questions about everything that's on that application. Then think about, ideally you've done all of this beforehand and your application's got all this in there, and so you're just a matter of rereading it. But on rereading it, there might be things that you think, oh, I haven't actually talked about that, or I haven't gone into it in very much depth. It's only mentioned, and they might well ask about that. The gaps you might have found yourself when you've reread through it. And remember, going for a job isn't just about, it is about answering what they want, but it's also about you as a whole person, all of that, the other skills. So if you haven't already got them on your application, which is a prompt to you to think, could I ask a question about that? Have them in your head as something you can add to that interview. Do you walk your next door neighbour's dog? Do you work in a charity shop on a weekend? Are you a member of Scouts or any sort of group activity where you have to speak to other people and you have to work together? All of them things really, really matter. Some people call them soft skills, some people call it common sense, whatever it might be, but not everybody has them, and not everybody can sense them. So tell people, don't just assume that people know that you're a pretty good chap or chapess that's doing whatever. Tell them, don't let them figure it out for themselves, and be bold and be brave about just try and be confident. So practice, right? Practice in front of a mirror, practice in front of your smartphone, practice when you sat in the toilet. And I don't just mean in your head, I mean talk out loud, right? Once you've said something 5 or 6 times out loud, right, you'll get it, you'll feel more comfortable with saying it, and you'll really increase your confidence. So practice, talk to yourself. It doesn't matter, lock yourself in the toilet, no one will know but you.
And I think when you're applying for jobs, often people have asked about, if we haven't got experience, what do we do? And I think remembering that things like if you're part of a scout group, or you enjoy playing football on a weekend, all of those are still skills that help in this kind of job application, don't they?
Yeah. Everybody wants to work with someone that's easy to work with, right? If you can prove in whatever way that you are willing and to work with others, and that you can work as part of a team, that's a really big thing. But the work experience thing, Candy, contact people and ask them. I had Millie with me yesterday for one day. That's all I could squeeze her in, but I squeezed her in for one day. She found out a whole other layer of things that we did. And also I could almost tell from the off the way that she sat through the induction. She asked questions. She answered all the questions on the induction. I could almost tell, she didn't end up telling me, but that she'd been out and done these type of things before, because she just took it in a stride. And so don't underestimate having exposure to these things. So write letters, write emails, and don't get despondent if people don't answer you or they say, sorry, we can't do it this time. Just write more. Increase your chances of success by writing more and asking more people.
It's that learning that you've got to get out and ask yourself, and you push yourself forward a bit. Yeah.
If you ask 0 times, you're not going to get anything done, right? If you ask 5 times, you might be lucky, you might get 5 lots of work experience, you might get none. If you ask 50 times, without a doubt, you've got 10 times more chance of getting it than if you'd ask 5. It's a maths thing, it's a logic thing. Yeah. Increase your own chances, make your own, luck to a certain extent.
Great, thank you. So have you got any tips on how a candidate could assess whether an apprenticeship is right? How would people know to pick the right one for them?
If you read it and you think, I'm going to hate doing this, then it's really not for you, right? If you read it and think, oh, that sounds interesting, it's piqued your interest, it probably is for you. Yeah. Go back to that. What you're good at and what do you enjoy, and if you know, where do you want to be? So if it's a building block on the way to where you need to go, even if it's not the exact thing that you might have wanted in a perfect world, which doesn't exist, by the way, there's no such thing as perfection. And if it's something that you think you're going to enjoy and think it would suit your skill set, right, then really go for it, even if it's just see if the application gets through. If I do get an interview, see how it made me feel to get myself more experience. You can always say no later. Yeah. But if you hate the application reading it, then the chances are you're not going to perform well in the interview, so you're not going to get it anyway. And if you did get it, you're going to hate it. So ask yourself, do you want to do that? But there is the other side of it, that some people need to have a job and just need to apply for these things. Even if they think it's not for them, then having some sort of job is better than none at all, which is also fine. But, here's the really big but, right? Even if you're somewhere that you don't like and you know it's not plan A, B, or C on your plan, still get the most out of it that you possibly can. You will always learn something in everything. And in fact, there's a fair old argument to say you'll learn more in the things that you hate doing than you'll learn in the things that you enjoy doing. So make it a learning experience, even if after that you're gonna go down a different route. At least you've got that experience, that qualification, that whatever under your belt.
I suppose following on a bit from that, someone's asked about soft skills and saying which soft skills were most critical during your apprenticeship. And I suppose that's the thing to remember, that even if you're in an apprenticeship that you're not enjoying at the time, you can still learn things, even if you go down a completely different route later on.
So sticking with it, right? Do not underestimate how many people just plain give up. Right? It's the same as the percentage of if you apply for none, you'll get none. If you give up, you're not going to pass. It's just logic, yeah. However, if you carry on going, right, even if you just plan to do, I think, I hate this, I'm going to do the bare minimum, right, there's a much better chance that you're going to pass and get something out of it and something to show for your 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, whatever it might be, than if you just say, I'm going to give up. And loads of people give up, right? Be the person that sticks at it. So whatever it is, try and see it through. And if you do, you'll be head and shoulders above most of the people, and you'll learn a whole bunch of stuff about yourself along the way.
So we've got a few minutes left. What would you tell your younger self before starting your apprenticeship?
The small world, right? So I thought, obviously, all these people will be strangers, and that once you've moved on, that I knew at the council that we went in departments, and I thought, I'm going to end up back at one of these departments. I'll probably end up applying for a job back at the one I like most, and if there's a job there. What I didn't realise was that my whole career, I keep on coming back to the people that I worked with then. I'm working with them now with the project that I'm on. So it's a very small world. Not that I ever did plan, by the way, or I don't think I ever massively fell out with somebody or was horrible to anybody or anything. But just remember that that everyone you deal with, you might come back in contact with them at a later date. So bear that in mind. So always be kind to yourself, but be kind and nice to other people, because you never know when, they might leave that company and you might leave that company, and you'll never know when you'll come back in contact with them again. And a good experience with somebody that you worked with could lead to a different job at a different time or a different opportunity. Because if somebody likes working with you, they'll actually, in the future, could pick up the phone and say, I've got this job for you. And that's happened to me a lot. So yeah. So yeah, always just think it's a small world and always be nice to people.
And it's accepting those opportunities to make contacts as well, isn't it? So if you are plugging the conference here, of course, but if you're coming to the Women Engineering Conference, you will meet people there and connect with them. Do go up to somebody and just say, hello, my name's so-and-so. And LinkedIn is brilliant for being able to connect to people and keep those connections alive as well.
So a quick story. So I was talking at a local university, a whole bunch of schools that were there, and only one school-age individual came to me afterwards. And as a result of it, I squeezed that person in to do a work experience because they were the only one that was brave enough to come and speak to me. They were very articulate. They were just easy to talk to. They knew exactly what they wanted, and that person stood out. So that person was given an opportunity that wouldn't have if they hadn't come to speak to me. So yes, make the contacts. Don't get upset if you don't hear anything from it. But all of the things, all of them, some people call it softer skills, but all of that whole around you really matters. Yeah, and take it with you everywhere you go.
And just back to your career, did you have a plan when you were 16 of where you wanted to be now, and has that worked out?
Didn't really. So I will honestly say that things happen quite organically. The council would have stayed, the council got disbanded while I was doing my degree. If it had stayed, I possibly would have had a clearer plan because I'd have been able to see the jobs. And I'd have been able to think, I'd have tried them out and I'd have been able to do that. So I'd have been able to see them. In all honesty, I went from the council, I went through a few jobs. Again, it was only like 3 places I bounced around with for about 15 years. Then I ended up in one of them 3 places. I ended up being design manager and then construction manager on a site. And then Sir Robert McAlpine were my main contractor on that site. I liked working with them. I liked their ethos. I also knew the site that was close by, and then it turns out that when I went to visit them, that actually it was all people that I used to work with back when I was a trainee. Again, this small world. So I'm back working. Yeah, I've worked with the same handful of people, just wearing many different hats. And I've totally forgotten what your question was, Candy.
It was about your career path, whether you had a plan.
Yeah, so was it the same? No, it's like that, like how I've answered this question, Candy. You just lose track at some point and it just happened. But because of the softer skills, because of the people that I knew, that's how it sort of ended up. And I'm quite pragmatic in terms of if things are meant to be, things are meant to be. Some people are more planned out and that's fine. But I've just jumped from one to another, always performed in that role, always been given further responsibility in that role. So the next job, I've been given more responsibility. So mine's more evolved, but I've always wanted to be a civil engineer. And I've always done voluntary work, like doing trustee work for WES. So I've actually managed to bring that into my day-to-day work as well. So I sort of had that goal and sort of done it a bit at a time. So I didn't really have a plan, but I had the type of things that I wanted to do, and I've always managed to, or in the main, I've managed to do them.
So just finally, you are probably not going to be able to answer one of these.
Yep.
But what has been your main career highlight? Have you got just one?
I've got to say, I'm quite lucky. I've got quite a few. I mean, I've got a wall of awards behind me. I've got to say, I'm now an Honorary Professor of Teesside University, where I started as doing my degree. And that's something that really means a lot to me. So it's the place that I did my learning. I've gone back to again and again and again, in wearing many different hats and helping out and being asked to advise on very many different things. So when I was given that honorary professorship, I was extremely pleased with that. That's something that sort of, again, closed a very big loop and has given recognition and kudos to the things that I do, which has allowed me to do more at the university. So that's probably one of my career highlights, but I'm lucky that I've had very much.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Paula, for today. It's been absolutely fascinating and we really appreciate your time. Just to say to people that if they do follow the QR code that's on the screen at the moment, or go to the WES website, which is www.wes.org.uk, and navigate through to the Apprentice Showcase, you'll be able to there log into a site, which is our careers site. And on there are varying companies who have got virtual stands, which have got information about careers within their stands, as well as apprenticeships. So there's all sorts of information on there, and there's varying links to a lot of the things that Paula has been talking about today. So that will be going live shortly. So do follow that QR code and log in there, and you'll be able to find out more information. So just to say thank you very much, Paula, again. It's been fascinating talking to you, and I very much appreciate your time.